What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to Shooting the Shit Uncensored. You know who this is. It's the truth, baby. It's the bald, the beard, and the fucking dad bod god himself, Piers Austin. And tonight, man, we got a special one for all of you. We got my boy, my man, my partner, my dude, my good friend, Mr. Boogalou, Mr. Boog Washington, aka one half of the dead presidents on the show. One of my favorite people in the entire world. And I know that I say that about everyone that I have on the podcast, but this time I actually mean it. But before we get into the conversation with Boogaloo, I want to take a quick second to tell you about our sponsor, and that is healthvape.com. Now, healthvape.com is your healthy vaping alternative. All of their products, no nicotine, no addictive or harmful chemicals. They help restore your energy while giving you the vital boost you need to get through your fucking day. So go and get on that health vape shit. They're vitamin infused as well. Hell, they're like vaping a freaking Red Bull, man. So crack one open, suck that down, and do a healthier lifestyle instead of sucking down those cigarettes, sucking down those nicotine. Suck down at healthvape.com, baby, and use that promo code MWAPOD to get a 10% discount on your final purchase. Also, wherever you're finding this, I appreciate it. If you're tuning in on YouTube, please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell to stay notified. Tap that little red button and tap in, because you know I'm bringing you some of the best interviews from around the world in professional wrestling, combat sports, entertainment, comedy, music, rapping, you name it. I'm bringing it to you. So get to click, and if you listen on a podcast platform, give us a 5-star review. It helps with our analytics, and it helps us bring more amazing fucking conversations to more amazing fucking people like yourselves. So what are you waiting for? Get to clicking and get in to what we have to offer here. And without further ado, let's get in to my conversation with my brother from another mother, the one and only Boog Washington, a.k.a. Boogaloo, baby! Boom, we're live on Shooting the Shit Uncensored with one of my favorite people in the entire world. And yes, I know I say that about every guest I have on this show, but this time I actually mean it. Boogaloo, welcome to Shooting the Shit Uncensored. Great to see you again, brother.
Hey, thank you for having me, Piers. Thank you for having me.
Hey, man, it's been a long time since we spoke, man. And you know what, bro? Like, for everyone who's listening here, Boogaloo, as well as being a professional wrestling veteran, and I'm going to go out and say legend as well, he was also a podcaster on the MWA Podcast Network that we had going a little while ago. He was the host, one of the hosts of Nights of the Gimmick Table. And I'm going to let you do the intro with that show, bro, because it's like, that was pretty cool, man. So what was that saying that you'd started off with, man?
I was like, oh, hell, the Knights of the Gimmick Table, where we spit the truth at the infamous round table and your feelings get left at the door. I am Boogaloo. This is, oh, he's not here. Well, low ride. We are the dead presidents.
Hell yeah, man. Bro, you know what? Dude, that just showed how creative you guys were, like, straight off the bat, like, coming into, like, never really hosting a podcast and stuff, you know what I mean? Like, because like I remember when I first like spoke to you guys, like you guys were like pretty quiet and chill kind of dudes, and I took that as like, okay, maybe they're just trying to suss me out a little bit. And then it's like when you guys started on like doing your podcast and you started having that energy, I'm like, oh man, these guys have like got something here, man. Like it was really cool to see. You know, have you always been that kind of guy that's like when the camera's rolling, you can just like turn that on straight in an instant?
It's kind of weird because like my character was more like, you know, like Smash Mouth monster type thing, and me on the podcast, I was able to be myself, which like I goof around and I like to have a good time. So me talking with people, shooting the shit, no pun intended. We like to have a good time, But in the
Yeah.
ring, it's a different story. In the ring, it's war. So I mean, I could turn it on either way. Sometimes you can have fun in the ring depending on what kind of show it is.
Yeah, man, 100%, bro. But I think that podcast really got to show like your personality and also Chung's personality as well, man. For a lot part of it. But what was your time like podcasting though? Did you enjoy it while you were doing it?
Oh yeah, I loved it. I was supposed to do something again with Angel, but like life happened, so like I kind of had to put stuff on hold. But I would like to visit it again. I was doing also the No Holds Barred Sports Show with my brother for a while, and I had to step away. I had stuff going on, personal stuff going on, so I had to step away. But I would like to get back into it again. I just gotta figure it out.
Oh, for sure, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
real life gets in the way, bro.
Yeah. It's all for the good. I'm coaching my son's football team, soccer.
Oh, you're coaching soccer? Really?
Yeah, and I knew nothing about the sport, so I had to spend a lot of time studying the sport. So yeah, so we got a nice soccer. Like with him, we have a nice soccer club. My son's like a stud goalie, which is phenomenal. Like he's great at it. So I'm having a lot of fun with that. And most of the kids on the team are all a product of single parent households. So it's kind of cool. You're the father figure for all these little kids. So it's pretty cool.
That's sick, man. Have you learned all your soccer lingo from watching Ted Lasso?
Bro, you watch that show?
Yeah, man.
That's probably the
Religiously.
greatest show, man. I rewatch it. I go back and rewatch it. Like I'll rewatch the whole thing. I finally got my son into it. They love it. It's awesome, man. It's one of the best things.
Dude, I would just watch the latest episode of it, and I'm sitting there as I'm watching it, going, like there's so many, like the one where they're in Amsterdam and shit, and I'm just like, this is like the level of ridiculousness that is happening in this episode, but it's like so good because I feel like the British humor for the most part, like I think goes over a lot of other countries' heads, and I feel like the US comedy style versus the English is so like completely different in vast different ways, both great and entertaining. But when you combine the two of them together and can pull it off, bro, that's money.
Yeah, and he's perfect. He's perfect at it. Like some of the stuff he says, like you can see, like they look at him because they don't get it, but that's part of the gimmick. They don't get it, but I just start laughing because it's even funnier that they don't get it.
Bro, I've started using Ted Lasso isms in my day-to-day life.
Shit, I bought an AFC Richmond jersey.
Yeah, bro. No, what was the one I used the other day? I went up to someone.
Fucking Kent, baby.
No, I said to someone, "You've got to order off the." What I say? I go, "I think you need to order off the vegetarian menu." Though, I went, "Excuse me." I go, "You need to squash that beef, baby." Oh, dude.
Did you? The last episode, because that I watched was the guy from Africa came back and like he just like shit on Sam, like just shit on him. But the funny part is at the end when the guy that shakes the hand goes to shake his hand, he up high, up low, he goes, "Please don't do this." And he goes and does it. He's like.
Oh man, but I feel like that show in itself like displays so many different cultures. And I feel like in international soccer like that, that's kind of how it is, man. Like they bring kids from all over the world and create these soccer teams, man.
That's the beauty. I think that like in America, soccer is not that big, but just that shows it. How beautiful the sport. It's a beautiful sport. It's a beautiful sport. Like the way it combines, everybody in the world plays it. Even the U.S. plays it. It's a beautiful sport. And if people took the time to watch it or even try to learn it, they'd be surprised how nice it is. I be honest with you, bro. I'm a season ticket holder for the Orlando Lions. I bought season tickets, and I go to every Saturday. We're there in Orlando at the games. I'm all in.
That's it. Oh, bro, so you're a full-on soccer mark now.
Oh hell yeah! Oh yeah, I'm all in now.
Hey man, good for you, bro. Like it's,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like that's getting into what your kid's into, man. Like, bro, like even like my eldest, you know, who's like turned 7 this year, he's like playing his football and that now, whereas like the last few years I've never really been watching much or following it. And now I'm like watching it more regularly and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like on the sidelines. I've become one of those stagehand mums or whatever you want to call it.
Oh, yeah.
Like I'm on the sideline yelling to my son, going, "Yeah, run straight, get there." And I'm like the coaches have had to say to me, they're going, "Hey, bro, chill back a bit." You know what I mean? I'm like on the sideline, the coaching team going, "Oh, I think we need to do
that was the funny thing. Like one of the parents, like the first season I coached, I was assistant coach, and the head coach never showed up. So I was coaching these kids, and I just signed up as an assistant just to be there for my son, and that was like a rude awakening. I had to learn the sport real quick on my own. So one of the other parents, the following season, he was pissed off that I had to do it all alone, and he volunteered to help me. He's a football player, not a soccer player. He was a B1 football player for Ohio State. And me and him together, we put together. Now we actually have a club, and we're gonna be doing tournaments and all that stuff with the kids we have. It's pretty cool. But like you said, yeah, you try to get in. Like my background's baseball and wrestling. I was an amateur wrestler, great baseball player, great amateur, and my son went to left field with it. He decided he wanted to play soccer, so now I have to learn the sport. It's all good. You do it for your kids.
Man. That's it, bro. That's it. Whatever they're into, man, that's what you got to do. But man, how is your boy's what? Going on 12 this year?
No, he turned 13, and he's gonna be 14 in September.
Oh shit,
Piers, you saw him a couple of times pop up on the podcast.
Yeah.
From that time that he popped up on the podcast, and now he's grown. He's taller than me now. He's taller than me. He's 170 pounds. He's a beast.
Damn.
He's gonna be bigger he's gonna be a lot bigger than me and my brother. I can tell you with that right now.
Any chance of him breaking into the business?
I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe I couldn't tell you now because like me and Chung, we all had that mentality growing up that everybody it's us against the world, because it was literally us against the world growing up the way we had to grow up and the neighborhood we grew up in. And my son is kind of like a sheltered life, so he really doesn't have to worry about all that stuff. So he really doesn't have a mean bone in his body. But watch him play goalie, and he's there talking shit like he's the Rock.
Hey man, but you know what?
People, he's yelling at people, telling them not in his house. Get that out.
Bro, but you know what the thing is, man? You want your kids to have that sheltered life, bro, that protected shit. Yeah. Because it's like, bro, like when we. You know what I mean? Like, even when I grew up, bro, like, I grew up in a pretty good household, you know what I mean, with parents and shit. But where I grew up was pretty rough, man. Like, I was kind of like, you know what I mean? It was a pretty rough area, bro, to grow up in, man. Like, where now I see my kid who's like, man, when I was at 7 years old, man, like, I was getting into fights and all this stuff. And my oldest isn't getting into that shit, man. And it's okay. You know what I mean? I can kind of see, like, even when he plays football and certain things like that, he's a bit hesitant. And I'm like, you know what? It's okay to be a little bit scared. It's all right. You know what I mean? Like, it means that I've done a good job as a parent, that this kid has felt a little bit like when he's put in a situation like that, he does go, oh, shit. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that shows that how we as parents try and shield him away from a lot of that shit.
Yeah. You're right. I mean, for the most part, he's a good kid. He's like, I never had to worry about him running off. Like, if we're in the store, him running off, because he would always be by your side. I even tried to leave him in like an aisle just to see what he would do. I took off on him, and then next thing I know, he's right next to me. Like, he's like, "Why'd you leave me?" I just wanted to see like what he would do. But yeah, man, he's a good kid, man. I can't complain. I mean, I wish he'd tighten up on his grades, but it is what it is. He's like his uncle. He's like he reminds me so much of my brother in the way that there's times when I'm talking to him and I call him Chung, Like I constantly calling him Chung because he does shit that exactly like my brother did, and I'm constantly thinking I call him Chung. That's it's funny. It's funny.
Oh, bro, that's fucking hilarious, man.
Yeah.
It's like, I feel like you've told me that before, like back when in the podcast days, that he was very similar to Chung back then when he was a lot younger, man. But man, I can't believe he's going to be 14, bro. That shit's fucking wild, man.
Yeah.
You're an old man now, bro. You've got a teenager.
Yep.
Damn, bro. What's been happening with the wrestling side of things for you, man? Have you pretty much slowed up altogether wrestling at the moment?
So we stopped because of COVID, and then like my niece passed away and stuff like that, and like I would like to get back. I wanted to get back into it, and maybe I will one day. Right now I'm just not, nothing's attracted to me about it. I miss the fans. I do miss the fans. I do miss the boys sometimes, but I'm enjoying being a father more now because when my son was born, I was still wrestling and I was gone. I was gone a lot. So now that I get to spend more time with now, and this is the age, that I want to spend time with him because now he's big. He's big now, and we do a lot of stuff together, like sports and stuff. And like I mess around with him. I try to embarrass him as much as possible. I try to get him to look at chicks and stuff. I'm like, oh, look at this one there. He's like, Dad, stop. But,
I feel like you would be the pretty cool dad though, like to the point where it's like if I'm not saying he's going to come home drunk or anything, but like if he was to come home drunk, like I feel like you'd be the dad, like cooking him up a greasy breakfast the next day, going, all right, man, like we won't tell mum about this one, just cool it on the beers.
Like the other day, he's like, Dad, this girl touched my penis. I'm like, what? At school, I'm like, what? He goes, yeah. I said, what the hell? He goes, yeah. She went to grab for, I think he had like a pencil or something. She went to grab for the pencil, but she grabbed him by the dick. And I was like, oh yeah. And he said, what happened? And he goes, she got embarrassed and ran away. I was like, yeah, she felt all that man.
Oh, bro, that is some fucking cold-blooded shit, dude. Oh,
yeah,
man.
It's funny, man.
And this poor kid, and your poor kid's just like this shy teenager coming into puberty.
Yeah, it's awkward. Yeah, it's so awkward. Like he was one time, he's like, "When is my voice gonna change?" I'm like, "When your balls drop?" He goes, "When do my balls drop?" I said, "You'll know."
You'll know, son.
You'll know.
Damn, bro. But like as far as now, like living the dad life and taking the sort of step away from the wrestling, do you feel like if you were still wrestling now, like because that would kind of take time away as well, like you wouldn't really have the opportunities to coach the soccer team and stuff like that as well.
Right, that would take up most of my time. Like be honest, like the soccer team, like we schedule practices. We come out of pocket. This is how crazy it is. Me and the other guy, and we coach two separate teams. We call the Tornadoes, right? One of the kids on the team, well, both him and his little brother, they both have autism, right? And they have a service dog. The dog's name is Tornado. So we took that name and we named the team the Tornadoes. So we coach his little brother's team, and then we coach the big team where my son is on. So it's crazy. So we got like maybe 20 kids or so, and me and this man, Phil, Coach Phil, great. You can ask for a better human being. Me and him come out of pocket, and we pay a trainer to train with them once a week. We actually got like a legit soccer trainer come out and teach them everything, and we come out of pocket for it. And and I don't care. I mean, I work two jobs, legit. I work two jobs. I got my 9 to 5, and then I got a little side job where I do 16 to 20 hours a week, and we fund the team. And it's a beautiful thing. The kids they built this. They were terrible. I'm not gonna. They were terrible in the beginning. It was terrible. Like my son was good, and he would be upset. He's probably the best goalie in the league, but we would still lose. I mean, you can't stop them all, But you see, like the wheels start turning, And then towards like the middle of the season, stuff started happening, and then they started winning. And then the people on defense are helping protect my son, at goalie. So now he's getting more safe. So it's and that's where I want to focus my time with the kids. I like being with the kids, and also I picked up fishing, believe it or not. So I spent a lot of time fishing. I was just fishing before I jumped on with you. I caught one bass today. I lost 4. I caught 1.
Bro, where do you find the like I know I'm a busy dude, right? Full-time job, parent, podcast, wrestling shows, combat sports shows, 3 kids, all this craziness as well, gym, all that shit. But how do you find the time to do 2 jobs, coach your son's football team, go fishing, and everything else that you fucking do? Like, I'm not surprised you're not wrestling right now, bro, because I don't know where you would find the time to do it.
Right. Well, the fishing, I try to get it done early in the morning, like before everybody wakes up. So like I was out there at like 6 o'clock this morning fishing, and I set my alarm. It was like 8:40 hit. I was like, all right, that's enough. Time to get ready for this podcast. But I mean, yesterday I slayed a monster yesterday. I caught a 4-pounder bass yesterday, about 21 inches long. The thing was a monster. That's the biggest one I ever caught. I was so happy.
Yeah, that's not what I heard back in the day, that you caught a monster big. No, I'm kidding. Dude, but are you catch and release, or you catch?
Yeah. I catch and release. I don't keep them, because they've been there for so, like, this lake I fish is a private lake, so I'm the only one that fishes there. So I give them back. I don't want them. I let them keep living. Let them keep growing. I'll catch them again when they get bigger.
Hey man, that's the thing, bro. But man, look, I want to get into the wrestling side of things, man, because one of the things I find so interesting about you, bro, is the early stages. I think you're one of the names, the indie peak, I really feel that happened in the early 2000s. And I feel like when WCW, ECW shut their doors, the indies really blossomed. I feel like TNA came along maybe a year or 2 later, but the indies was such a hotbed. From 99 to 2005, 2006, 2007, maybe. It was like the hottest peak was probably 99 to say 2004, right? And you were one of those guys there.
It all started in the North, believe it or not, and people can say what they want. It all started in New York. The indie boom started with New York. People. It wasn't Samoa Joe and those guys in California. It would happen in New York, and then those guys got more recognition when they came. They booked them in New York. Those guys were just in California. California was getting no burn.
Well, the East Coast was the hottest place to be, right? Like the Philly, Jersey, like that.
Philly, Jersey, New York. Not even Massachusetts. It was Philly, Jersey, New York. That was it. The Massachusetts wasn't part of the picture. It was Philly, Jersey, New York. Everybody wanted to wrestle in New York. Philly and Jersey is fine, but everyone wanted to wrestle in New York. Why? Because New York had the most rules and the most recognition. You had to be licensed to wrestle in New York. If you weren't licensed by the Boxing and Wrestling Commission, you weren't allowed to wrestle, and you had to get permission to get the license. So you had to be trained from a wrestling school to get the license to wrestle in New York.
So that's almost saying it gives it a level of legitimacy. I'm a professional wrestler. I have this card.
You are a pro. If you're wrestling in New York during that time during the commission, you are considered a professional.
That's fucking insane, dude. And because that was the thing, I remember hearing about these indie feds starting up, and back in the day, I used to get all these wrestling magazines, bro, because that's we didn't have internet back then. We started to get a few tapes here and there and DVDs a little bit later on. But I remember seeing hearing about Ring of Honor, and you were actually on.
Ring of Honor wasn't even the first thing that started. So it all started. We had USA Pro with Frank Goodman. And it was pretty big. It was very big. And but Frank booked legends. He booked legends of wrestling, and he actually had the hookup where he was able to use WWE guys and WCW guys. So
really,
if you were lucky enough to get on his shows, you get to rub elbows with these people, you know what I'm saying?
So I got into, I was what, 20 years old. I was 20 years old when I was able to get my license, and I'm in there with Greg the Hammer Valentine, the Road Warriors, all those guys. Frank's booking them, and then Frank took on a kind of like a partner. His name was Jack Sabbath. Jack Sabbath, he's a great guy, beautiful man. He thought about, he's like, man, because it was like me, guys like me, because Homicide wasn't even in the picture. Because it was me, Damien, Xavier, because it started with me and Damien Dragon. We were the first ones, and then Boogie Nights came in. So it was the four of us, and we're killing it every Frank Goodman show. And I got into USA Pro because of Jack. Because I met him he had a wrestling store. I met him at his wrestling store, and me and him started talking. So he liked it. He hooked me up. He got me in. And then I got Damien in, and then Frank got the Boogie Nights in because I guess they knew a lot of people, and Frank is all about making money. So they sold a lot of tickets for Frank, Mike Tobin, and Danny Drake. Yeah. So they sold a lot of tickets for them. But those guys are great workers. Even back then, they were great workers. Then we got Xavier in, and then we got Nana in, and then right there, that Jack saw like, man, these guys are kicking ass, right? Me, and then Loki came in after, and he's like, these young guys are the ones that, like, the people come and see the legends, but at the end of the day, people are talking about our matches.
Yeah.
Then SAT weren't even there yet. It was just Joel and Chris Devine. They came in too, because Kelvin was too young. And Lowrider was too. Kelvin and Lowrider were at the same age, and they were too young to wrestle in the state of New York. They weren't over 18 yet. And
didn't the Briscoes have a similar thing happen to them at a certain?
I've known them since they were like 16 when I met them, and they were younger than I think Jay. Jose Maximo and my brother were the same age, so they were able to get the license, but Mark was still younger. But so Jack got the idea. He's like, I want to start my own shit. We're gonna call it Ultra, because Jack was always about hardcore wrestling, and he's like, we're gonna call it Ultra Violent UCW, Ultra Violent Championship Wrestling, and I'm like, all right, man, but none of us are doing that crazy shit. We're actually going out there wrestling. So then it changed into ICW, Impact Championship Wrestling. Was it Impact? Yeah, Impact Championship Wrestling. And just like the name, it made an impact. That's when he brought in the Hit Squad, and he started bringing all these young guys together. And man, we packing out the Elks Lodge, all that. And the thing was, this is at that time, all the three major companies were still running: ECW, WCW, WWE. So we're out there kicking ass, because in my head, like, we're doing these little spot shows in Boston for Mike Sparta, who's like a feeder for the WWE, and I'm over there working them. So I'm thinking I'm gonna get something, right?
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, ECW goes out of business. So that's the one place we couldn't work. And I was going ECW with Angel. Like, I would drive Angel there just to show my face, and if they need, and they used me a couple times to do like little things here and there. But I'm hoping, like, I even had a conversation with Paul one day when he told me that he wanted to make a cruiserweight division, and it was going to be around Tajiri and Super Crazy, but he wanted more Super Juniors.
Yeah.
So he was like, just, he basically told me, because I did wind up doing a spot with Taz and Tajiri and then the Dudleys that night. And he goes, just stick around. He goes, we might have something. So I'm like, cool. But I didn't know Paul like that, so I didn't know if he was bullshitting me or not. And then they closed down. And then like a few months, like, I don't know how much longer it was, WCW closed down. There was no place for us.
Yeah.
So the people that didn't get signed by WWE, they wound up on the indies with us if they didn't take over Japan, because then we couldn't even go to Japan because those motherfuckers, they got for top pick.
Of
so
course.
Now we're stuck slumming it on the indies, and that's when Jack took off. And man, we were killing it. And so I don't know how many shows we would do in a month between Jack and Frank. And then then that's when like Rob Feinstein and Ring of Honor crew, which are video, they would come to those shows and tape. With taping the shows. They
Yeah.
decided they wanted to start their own thing. And basically they, if you want to say it, they kind of ripped off Jack because that was Jack's idea. Jack was bringing in American Dragon, all those guys. Jack was the one that brought all those guys in, and then Ring of Honor kind of copied him, but they were gonna just do Philly, and and Jack was a great guy, but Jack he let the boys. So instead of him being the boss and telling him, "Hey, this is what's gonna happen," he let the boys dictate shit, and then that's how he lost money because he was paying this one $600, this one was getting this one was getting, and he don't have the bankroll for that, man. He's an independent guy, independent contractor, just like us, trying to put on something he loves and give back to the people, give back to the fans, and the boys took advantage of him, and he lost his shirt, so he goes out of business. Ring of Honor takes off.
That's the thing, man. Booker's got to, the promoters have almost got to stand by their convictions so much, man. Because as soon as they give an inch, I feel like certain people in this business, man, will just, if they get an inch, they'll take a fucking mile with that shit. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly. And I mean, they know who they are, and they did it. I mean, I don't blame them. You want to make money, but at the same time, I consider
work.
Yeah, they want the money. They want to make the money. But my thing, I was loyal to Jack because Jack gave me, he pretty much took me up to the point where I was like, you know what? Pay me what. And there was times when he didn't have the money to pay me. I was like, don't worry about it. I'll come get it from you at the store. Pay everybody else. I'll come get it from you later this week at the store. And that was fine. I was fine with that because Jack was good to me. So I was gonna be good to Jack.
Yeah,
he was
man.
A good dude. Very good dude. Very good dude. He just got taken advantage of.
When did you come into Ring of Honor? Because you were there
right from the beginning. Right.
Yeah, right.
Very first show.
So was Jack still in business when they had their first show?
Yeah, Jack was still in business.
Was he cool with like guys working for them?
Yeah, Jack was all about everybody making money. Jack wanted everybody to work. Everybody, Jack was a good dude. He didn't care, He didn't want, if they were running a show one day, he wasn't gonna run the show the same day as anybody because he wanted everybody, because he knew they were using his guys. So he didn't want his guys to lose money. So he run the show the opposite, the opposite day. Like if they're gonna run Saturday, I'll run Friday. We'll run Friday in New York, let them run Saturday in Philly. And that's what it was. So Jack shows would be on Friday and Ring of Honor would be on Saturday. And we do a show in Queens. And then Saturday we were in Philly, Ring of Honor.
So when you came into Ring of Honor, were you automatically teamed? Were you come in there as a team with Homicide, or did you come in as a single?
No, me and Homicide were a team because we were a team before. So he hurt his knee. Right? Yeah, he hurt his knee. And I was at a Jersey All Pro show. I worked the Jersey All Pro show. And Homicide was part of the Hit Squad with Dan Moff and Monster Mac. That was their crew, called the Hit Squad. And he hurt his knee, and he needed to slow down, but he didn't want to stop working. So I guess he told Moff that he wanted to do tag team. So Moff was like, "Who you want to tag team with?" He chose me. So he goes, "That's the only person I would team with." So Moff in the locker room, Moff goes, "Hey man, I need to talk to you." I was like, "All right." So I go back to the back of the locker room, and he goes, "Hey, D is hurting right now. His knee is really bad." He goes, he wants to start teaming, but he wants to team with you if you're open to it. I was like, at the time I was doing singles. I was like, yeah, no. I said, yeah, sure, no problem. And then we started. So then I would go out to the doghouse, meet up with him, and we would practice. We would come up with a move set and stuff that we could do together, and we kind of come up with a finishing move, and we came up with the probably one of the most devastating finishing moves in wrestling, and called the South of Heaven. I seen people try to do it, but they couldn't do it like us. It's basically I do a German suplex while he hits the person with a lariat, and it's devastating. But so me and him started teaming like that. So that's how we went into Ring of Honor. We were already a team.
Yeah, right. So you guys went in there already like and established, because I remember you guys were the natural born sinners.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, like I think you guys used to, but like I even feel like you and Homicide was such a good like look of a team together back then, like coming out with the masks and like even like the same sort of like style that you guys both had. It just the mesh was worked so well together.
Right. Yeah. I mean, he's a hell of a talent, amazing worker, and you know, and people never got to see him work because he was labeled a garbage wrestler because he was in that Jersey All Pro and New Jersey area where they did all that hardcore shit. So they didn't. He didn't really get like nobody in New York would touch him until they put us to team. Then that's when he started. He started being able to work. He worked more in New York, you know, like with Frank and Jack. And Jack always loved Homicide, but because of his reputation. But once the team started going, then Homicide started getting booked in New York and stuff.
So it more legitimized him from being less of a deathmatch hardcore worker than
Right. Yeah. Because with the team, because that's what he was doing. But when we started teaming, people got to see, damn, this motherfucker could wrestle, and yeah, that motherfucker could wrestle.
That's one thing I've always said about Homicide is he's got to be one of the best hybrid professional wrestlers. Like I think he's probably one of the most underrated hybrid wrestlers in the world in the last 20 years, because like if you see what he can go do a lucha style match, he can go do a high flying gimmicky spot match, he can go do a cruiserweight style, he can go in there and do a death match style against a fucking massive opponent and be believable. Everything about what he does is so believable, and he can do so many different styles. The fact he hasn't been signed by WWE or like in his entire career is a travesty, though. But do you think it's because of his gimmick and
no? I could tell you, the thing with WWE, I have a feeling it's more because of his size, because me and him about the same height, but me and him aren't the same weight. You know, because where he's got no musculature really. He's kind of lanky. You know, he's not fat, not skinny. He just doesn't have the body. He doesn't have the body to be in WWE. And then, you know, the way his gimmick, he dresses, so he's not gonna put on a tights or nothing like that, or a singlet and wrestle in a singlet. So they don't want that, you know.
Yeah,
that's the appeal for WWE. But if he was because what you saw is what you got at TNA. He came in the way he wanted to come in, and that was that. But you can't put Homicide in tights or stuff because it's not Homicide. It won't be Homicide.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know what? It's funny. Like, it'd be funny if like he tried to do a complete different gimmick and be like the polar opposite to being like, instead of like changing his name from like Homicide to Happiness and coming out in a nice color. You know what I mean? Like that would be pretty cool, but I don't think it would be over like, hey, puppy, my name is no Happiness. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how that would work.
Yeah. But see, that was the difference, because like when I started out, I was in tights. You know, I wrestled in singlets and long tights or whatever, because I'm a wrestler. You know, I came from, and my brother the same way, but we could change our style. It didn't matter. So I could wrestle with Homicide. We'd dress like thugs, and then me and Chuck would get in there and wear singlets and stuff. You know, so it was, you know, it is what it is.
How did you find, going in the early stages of Ring of Honor? Like, was there anything long-term booking for you guys going in there, like when you first started? Or it's another indie.
It was, first of all, we didn't know how long it was gonna last, but I mean, they liked us as a team. They loved us as a team, and they really liked us. And I thought we would have a good run as a tag team there. I believe we would have, but you know, stuff happens.
Yeah, man. And that kind of came out on a podcast, right? That me and Angel were doing with Homicide once, right?
Oh yeah. When he lied, yeah.
Like, you know what the fact is? Like, it's like that.
And you want to know something, Piers? The funny thing is, for years, you know, because you guys knew the story already, and then when you asked him, he told you something totally different. And then I saw your because I'm watching the podcast when it was because it was live, and when he told
Yeah.
you something different, I saw your face and Angel's face, and I'm like, man, this is fucking bullshit. So when I said it was bullshit, Angel goes, "Hey, come on the podcast." So when I came on the podcast and we started talking about it, he shut down and didn't say another word. I don't know if you noticed that he didn't really talk for most of the podcast after you guys after he got hit with the
Hey,
truth.
Boogaloo's just cutting
And
out. You're cutting out there,
and the,
Boogaloo.
oh, I'm sorry, you hear me now?
Yeah, you're back now. So yeah, you were just saying he was on the podcast. He said something. We reacted, and I think you said something like you sent me a message going, "Hey, send me the fucking link." It was like, oh shit. I was like, this is about to pop off.
Yeah, and then when he got confronted with it, then he shut down and didn't really want to talk about it after that, you know. And it was funny because this is like what 20 years later, and for the whole time, for 20 years. He basically blamed it on somebody else when it was him all along. You know what I'm saying? He blamed it on Steve Mack. He blamed it on just about everybody, but it was him. It was him. You know?
Do you think looking back at it now, like, you know what I mean? Like, I've spoken with Homicide a couple of times. I think he's a pretty cool guy. I don't know him as well as you do. But do you think looking back at the situation now at how determined he was to be a successful professional wrestler, he was looking at it as a way of like cutting ties, being a tag team and going more on a singles run?
But be honest with you, bro, that's all he had to say from the beginning.
But do you think that's what the reason was?
Yeah, because they probably promised him shit, and he was like, yeah, and then he did. He become Ring of Honor champion. But if that was how you were feeling from the beginning, just say something, bro. For me, what the Ring of Honor was paying us, I could wipe my ass with that money. They weren't paying us shit. Because when Ring of Honor first started, they were only giving us $75 a show.
Yeah, right.
Facts. Me and Homicide were making $75 a show, and they wrote us a fucking check. And Homicide was like, here, take this check back because I don't have a bank account. I need cash.
Damn.
You know what I'm saying? So, facts, that's what they were paying us. And then when XPW came to talk to us, they offered us a lot more money, a match. And Homicide, they came to Homicide. They didn't even come to me. They came to Homicide, and Homicide was the one that made the deal. And then next thing you know, I got labeled, I got blacklisted, and I was blamed for making the deal. Homicide was I didn't need the money. I had a 9-to-5 that I'm the only independent wrestler that had a legit job with retirement and pension and medical benefits. So what the fuck do I need? I need Ring of Honor's money. What the fuck did I need XPW's money? I went out of loyalty with Homicide, whatever he wanted to do, because wrestling was his prime. He didn't have a job. His only job was wrestling. So you making a $75 payday, or you want to make a $600 payday with XPW? You tell me what you want to do. I'm gonna go where you want to go because this is your job. I'm fine wherever I go. I'm gonna be okay. If I get fired from everywhere, I've not been fired from a lot of places. I'm still gonna be okay because I have a job.
Yeah.
The wrestling money I made from wrestling, I was able to put that in a savings account, all my wrestling money, because I didn't have to touch it because I didn't need it. So I was able to put that in the savings account. I bought my house with wrestling money. I bought a 5-bedroom house with money I made from wrestling because I never had to touch it.
That's pretty dope.
So you tell me who, you know what I'm saying? I don't care, man. It's at the end of the day, it is what it is. He did what he had to do, and it was fucked up how he did it.
But that's kind of the way the world of wrestling works, man. It's almost like the mafia, right? It's you get walked into a room sometimes, and then you get two in the back of the head, and most of the time it's your best friend or brother that's the guy that does it, right?
And that's why I said that shit one day. I said, listen, I never have to stab nobody in the back if I can shoot you right between the eyes.
Yeah, man. That's some real talk, bro. Did like once after that podcast happened, like I know we sort of, we did the remainder of that podcast. We finished up. We talked for like an hour or two backstage afterwards. And I know that you had Homicide on Nights of the Gimmick Table a couple of times.
Yeah. I don't.
Yeah, like, was there any bad beef after that?
No, because to be honest with you, that's back then. If I would have known that back then, yeah, it would have been beef. I would have probably beat the fuck out of him back then. and that's a shoot. And he knows it. I know it. Everybody knows it. If I would have known that back then, he would have got his ass whooped. But it's 20 years later. I don't care. Look at how I'm living. I'm living. I'm living.
100%.
My life is beautiful. I have a beautiful wife. I have a beautiful kid. I have everything I ever wanted in life. I don't have to worry about my roof over my head, my lights being turned off like when we were, saying stuff we had to worry about when we were kids. My son never has to worry about that. My life is beautiful. And and you forgive. I forgive, man. Whatever. It's not worth it. Whatever.
It's wrestling drama at the end of the world.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think you've transcended that. Right?
Am I headlining WrestleMania? No. Is he headlining WrestleMania? No.
Yeah.
It wasn't over. It wasn't over a WrestleMania moment. So I mean, but back then I was a different person.
Yeah.
Back then you cross me, you get fucked up. But now I don't give a fuck. I talk to him to this day like nothing. Me and him. He's still one of the boys. I'll talk to him. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, no, that's cool, man. That's beautiful, man. Because I feel like that shows a lot of maturity though as well. Whereas like you sit there and go, yeah, man, like my life is pretty good. Like it's no complaints. I got to have some fun in the wrestling world. I got to be around a hot moment in time and during wrestling as well, and some crazy experiences.
How many people you talk about that wrestled just as long as I did, over 20 years?
Yeah, man.
And they can't string together a sentence because from concussions and all that, or they just dump, drugs, concussions, some of them can't walk. Hey man, I'm living a beautiful life, man. I have everything's in my favor. So
hey,
I won.
100% you did, bro. 100% you did. But you know what? You end up going over and wrestling for XPW eventually, which is where the team of you and Chung becoming the Dead Presidents and that gimmick really sort of taking off. And that's kind of like one of the big things where like I feel like the Dead Presidents around that time were iconic for XPW. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and then they folded.
Yeah. And then, well, it's not that they folded. Like their parent company went into fucking
the feds went after them. Yeah. Let me tell you something. Rob Black, great. As a boss, and I really don't know him that well as a person. I enjoy working for Rob Black. He was nothing but nice to me. Not everything he said he was gonna give us, he gave us. And he never lied to us. And if he called today, like, hey, I want to do a reunion show where I would go there and wrestle for him, because anybody guys like that were good to you, you never forget.
Yeah, man. Like XPW's come back and they've done they started to do shows and shit now.
Yeah. I know my brother still talks to him from time to time. He tells my brother he wants to bring us in, but we'll see.
Dude, that would be pretty cool, man. Because you see now, the SAT, man, like those guys are getting a pretty big pop, on the indies as well.
And I had them on my show, and they came back because they were pissed. They were pissed that everybody was stealing their shit and they weren't getting credit for it. And I don't blame them, because you gotta give credit due. Those motherfuckers came up with so much innovative stuff. At the time when I was working with them, like I used to tell them, and they used to piss me off because they'd go have a match and they would do everything in the world in this one match, in a 15-minute match. And I'm like, bro, you gotta tell a story, save it for later. Nah, that's the way we wrestle. All right, bro. And that, and I used to get mad because they would, by doing high spots, a whole match is just high spots, you're taking away from everybody else. But at the end of the day, it's an independent show. It's like a spot show. So whatever, do what you're gonna get your shit off, And I was more into telling a story with our match.
Yeah.
And they were all about 100 miles an hour, but they were so innovative. Joel, Kelvin, Red. It was 4 of them. Joel, Kelvin, Red, and Chris Devine. Oh, and Quiet Storm. Those 5 guys, man. So, and Storm and Divine, those guys were workers, and they were the ones that SAT wrestle all the time. So they were taking SAT all their moves, but they were the ones that were telling the story. But
Yeah,
you put them in the show, that was gonna be match of the night. Those five guys, they were Red can make it. Red was so believable. Like the first day I met him, I was like, little kid. He was like, like him. Like I tell you, they all like my brother's age. So
Yeah.
I look at him. He's like, yeah, this is Red. And this is before I even saw him wrestle. I go, you wrestle in the mask or something? And he goes, no, I wrestle. He got this big red afro. And I'm like, all right, cool. And I just was like, this kid's like 110 pounds. But then when I saw him in the shit he does, I was like, I want to work with this kid because I know he'll make me look good. Just throwing him around and make me look even better. And he's gonna take it. And me and him built a man. I love the SC. I love all those guys, man, because they're a big part of me, as well as I'm a big part of them. But yeah, they're back now because they're pissed off because people stole their moves, and nobody's giving them credit for it. Nobody even.
But bro, remember a couple years ago, like the fucking I don't know what they're wrestling as in AEW, but they were in Impact before that, and they wrestled as the LAX or the new LAX, Ortiz and Santana, and they came out in the Dead President's gimmick on one episode.
Oh yeah.
I mean, like the same face paint, and I'm pretty sure they even did a couple of your moves as well, bro.
And the funny thing about that is who was with them, and they all in Dead President's face. Homicide. At least shout us out, bro. At least shout out the real Dead Presidents if you're gonna do some shit like that.
Hey man, I reckon there could be something there for you and Chung to come back, man. Like I think that there is something there that you got. Like, I mean, there's a resurgence because people want to see that shit, man. Like they want to see the Spanish announce team and these guys coming back that are pissed off for people stealing their shit. That's kind of like the stuff in wrestling, though. Like I feel like once people have been gone from a certain time and they're like, okay, cool, now I can steal this person's shit, right?
Yeah, I mean, people were stealing shit right then and there. Petey Williams stole Quiet Storm's move that the Storm Cradle Driver. He stole
Canadian Destroyer. Yeah,
was it Storm Cradle Driver? No, the Canadian Destroyer. He stole it from. He stole it. Quiet Storm made that. You know what I'm saying? He stole that. How many times you see people hit the Spanish Fly? At least they call it the Spanish Fly, but that's like the most stolen move. And then the little when you jump on the guy's back and you shoot through real quick, it's like a sunset flip bomb. That was Red. Red was the first person that. I mean, somebody did it before Red. I think it was Ghost Shadow and Deranged, but Red was the one that got known for it because he did it on the main platform. But people steal shit all the time,
Bro, that's the nature of the beast, man. Like it, but when it's like they blatantly steal it, and it's like, you know what I mean? But it's like when wrestlers go, "Oh yeah, they're paying homage to this person." I'm like, they're not paying homage; they're playing fucking cosplay, bitch.
Yeah. So I had a kid. I had a pump handle brainbuster, right? That was my finishing move called the Wig Splitter, and I had a kid use it at a show in Jersey, right? He just used it for no reason. Like he didn't even use it as a finisher. He just used it for no reason, right? And it got back to me, like right away. It got back. Somebody called me on the phone right when it happened, and they're like, "Yeah, he just did it." And sure as shit, who I'm on the show with the next week.
This kid.
Yep. So as soon as he saw me, he came right to me. He's like, "I'm sorry, I did it. I froze and I just did the move and I was like, all right, man, don't do it again."
He came at you respect, right? Like he came.
Yeah, he came right to me. He's like, because I guess somebody must have told, hey, they told Boogaloo he's mad. But I've beaten people up in the locker rooms for shit like that.
Bro, you know what? That's one of the things. Like when I had your brother Chung on, and we spoke a lot of like stories and stuff that happened, and he told me about a time that he went and worked for the Wild Samoans, and this thing happened, and like him and his partner at the time, I think it was Guapo.
I think
it was Guapo. They went there and they basically had to work these kids, and they were like, "Yeah, just fuck off, man. We'll call in the ring." And these
Right.
guys did something to him, or they tried to dump him over the thing. And
No. So the first time it was
they beat the fuck out of these kids, and then they
Yeah.
put him in there with Cliff Compton or some other guy.
Tank Tolan, yeah.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
they fucked him up, and then you and Homicide came in the next week and fucked those guys up.
Oh yeah. So they knew. So yeah, that the guy threw him, and he was gonna be like Chung. One thing about like if I had to pick one person that to have my back in a fight is gonna be Chung, because Chung will die. No matter who the size of the person, he's gonna fight till he can't breathe no more. That he's probably one of the toughest, pound for pound toughest people I know. And he doesn't see size. He doesn't see size. He doesn't care. He's one of the. He has my mom's because my mom is crazy, so he has my mom's mentality where the size does not matter. He's gonna fight you. He's gonna fight. He's not gonna think about it. He's just gonna jump on you. He's gonna get you. So that happened, and I'm always gonna have my brother's back. So then the next week they put him against us, Cliff Compton, and as soon as the spot came for us to charge the ring, I flew out of the curtain and I went right at the dude. I beat the fuck out of him.
But you know what? Arthur and that is sitting there going, "Yeah, we know exactly what we're fucking doing."
Because he knew it was coming. He knew it was coming.
Yeah,
and he could have fought back, and he didn't fight back. I wish he would have, but he didn't. And then at the end, he came back behind the curtain and he shook my hand and said, "Thank you."
Damn, bro. In what fucking universe in this world, like, can that sort of shit go down where you can beat another man's ass and he comes back and says, "Thanks for the opportunity to get my ass beat"? It's fucking wild.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't try to take liberties, but if you're doing something wrong, if I get you in the locker room, I get you in the locker room. If I have to get you in the ring, then I'm gonna get you in the ring.
That's the way it was. But I'm the type of person.
I'm not gonna do it without you knowing. I'm gonna tell you it's gonna happen, because I did it to Stryker. I told Stryker it was like I forget what it was like a long time ago, and I told him, "Hey, I'm gonna punch you in the face." And he's like, I said, "I'm punching you in the face." He goes, "No," and like he thought I was bullshitting. I said, "Just stay the fuck away from me. I'm gonna punch you in the face." And it was like a big melee, and this dumbass, I love Stryker too. I still love Stryker. He's my first students. He comes right to me. I'm like, "Bro, get away from me. I'll punch you in the face." Bam! I hit him right in the face, right? And he it stunned him, right? And he came, I hit him again. And then he goes in the locker room. He goes, "What the fuck?" I go, "Didn't I just tell you how many times and this went on for weeks. I've been telling for weeks I was gonna punch him in the face. You know what I'm saying? I've been telling for weeks, Piers, he was gonna get hit. So finally he goes, he goes, I did not tell you I was gonna put it. He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "But that'll never happen again." I go, "Stryker, let me tell you something right now. If I want to punch you in the face, I'm gonna punch you in the face. You're not gonna stop me." He's like, "Okay."
Bro, like, did you ever have any time, like, in your career where, like, shit had turned south? Someone's thrown something at you, like a potato or whatever it is, and then, like, next thing you know, it's a fucking shoot going on in that ring.
2 times. One time it was me and Homicide against this guy named P. Joan and a cowboy-looking dude. And shit got serious for Homicide and the cowboy dude. The cowboy dude he had Homicide. He was taking it to Homicide, and I see what's going on, right? So I circled back and I swept his legs. And I swept his legs. Homicide did a legit back rake, like scraped through his back, like legit. Cut his back open, cut the dude's back open. But I had to say, I saved Homicide's ass that day. And and then another time was XPW, our first match at XPW.
Yeah.
We go against Mexico's Most Wanted. And my thing is I don't take liberties with people in the ring. And I gauge how they handle me, but that's the way I'm gonna handle them. So the guy goes, I told Chung before the match, it's Damien and Halloween. I go, "Hey, these guys are legends. They're veterans. Let's
don't hit him hard, because we had a repetition of working snug. So I go, don't hit them hard unless they hit us hard. Don't hit them hard unless they. And Chung goes, okay, no problem. Bro, as soon as the bell rang, these motherfuckers came across the ring and punched us so fucking hard. So they were testing us, right? So I was like, all right, it's on. So we hit them back. There was a spot in the match where, and you can see it on the tape, we go for Damien goes for a leg lock on me, right? And so I grab his leg. So we're doing a double leg lock on each other, right? And we're in the middle of the ring. Halloween gets in the ring and fucking soccer kicks me in the back of the head, bro, as hard as he could, right? So Chung saw that shit. Chung comes in the ring, and it's not Damien's fault. He soccer kicks fucking. And then Halloween goes to do it again. This time he kicks me even harder, right? He kicked me even harder. So Chung kicks Damien. He goes for the third kick, and the third kick was weak as fuck. So I'm like, what the fuck? Come to find out, the second kick, he broke his foot on my head.
Damn, bro.
Yeah, but after the match, they loved us. Damien Halloween loved us. And even to this day, like, you see him in the locker room, and they still come up. They would come up to us and talk with us. Even his son, Damien's son, what's his name? Bestia. Great kid, too.
Yeah, after kicks to the head, were you concussed? Like, we knocked the fuck out?
No, I got a hard head.
Damn, bro.
In my life, I've had 5 concussions, and one of them, Mafia gave it to me because he punched me in the back. He did a lariat, and his fist hit me in the back of the head. That was one concussion, and then I had 2 from football, and then 1 from Mafia. I got one from something stupid. It was like I had a flood in my house, in the basement of my house, like years ago.
Yeah. And
I'm trying to move the furniture. And as I move the furniture, I slipped, land on the back of my head. And that was probably the worst one because I wound up throwing up after.
Oh, dude, that's the fuck. I've had that happen to me, man. Like, when you fall back and it's like, dude, yeah, fuck.
And then Guapo gave me one.
Guapo.
I went to go do I went to do a Rana on him, and I jump off the top rope to do the Rana. He goes, and I drop, landed right on my head, and then he goes. And other than that, that's only 5.
That's some fucking crazy shit, man. Like, dude, like, what was it like going to and training at the doghouse, man? Because like you've been going and starting your like training with Johnny Rodz at Gleason's, and then going to the doghouse. What were the major differences of the 2 places, man? Because I feel Johnny would be more old school, right?
Right. So Johnny, you learn how to wrestle at Johnny's. Johnny's, you learn how. Anybody that came out of Johnny's at that time, they were ready for TV. If you were coming out of Johnny in the late 90s, you knew how to work for TV. You knew how to work for camera. You knew the WWE style of wrestling.
Yeah.
The doghouse, it was just chaos. That shit was just chaos. You got this one, fucking this one's girlfriend, this one over here. You got guys in the corner smoking weed. You got guys over here drinking. You got some people training. You got
we just lost Boogaloo there for a second. I'm sure he'll be back.
Sorry about that. Yeah, because I'm on my phone. And that was my wife. So you got where was I at?
You had people drinking, fucking chicks, smoking weed at the doghouse.
Smoking weed. Then you have this one training somebody for sexual favors. It's fucking chaos, bro. It's fucking chaos. Then you got people that they want their so. Lathan was a trainer, Homicide was a trainer, and I don't know who else was a trainer there, but those 2 guys were the main trainers. So you got Lathan with his crew, his students, and then you got Homicide with his crew, and then you got they want to be on Homicide so bad that they're fucking buying Homicide marijuana, like getting here's marijuana, and they want to be his friend instead of like worrying about fucking learning how to wrestle. They're buying him PlayStations and video games and all kinds of. It's just
and
the school is dope. The school is dope as hell, and there was a lot of people you could wrestle with there. But then again, you can see why it didn't last. Because if you're getting weed and video games here, and this one's doing this, who's paying dues to keep the fucking building open? Who's
Yeah,
paying
exactly.
the light bill? Who's, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you can't pay
But
the
it was
electricity company with a
right,
PS2. You know what I mean?
right. But I
Dude,
mean,
that's
it was a good play. The ring was cool. They had a great ring. It was a lot different from Johnny's ring, which was like a concrete. It was death, and then this ring was like a trampoline. It was not a trampoline, but it was more fun to bump in. And you never knew who was gonna show up there, so you got time. Like the SAT would show up, so SAT show up. You work out with the SAT, so you get some lucha reps in. Or Loki shows up, you work out with Loki. Me and Loki used to shoot all the damn time. Like we just shoot on each other the whole time.
he's
Uh,
he's an intense individual, right? Like he's really fucking intense.
Loki's a goofball. He's actually really cool. Like if you know him,
Yeah,
he's really funny. But when it comes down to wrestling, he takes it serious.
yeah.
He's serious. He's all business when it comes to wrestling. But he's a good dude.
I hit him up to do my podcast years ago, like when I first started, and like his simple response, and it was like all cap, and it was like, no,
No.
I'm not interested. I was just like, what do I reply to that?
Shit.
All right, man, cool, bro. Yeah, I was just like, damn, bro, like couldn't have been more straight up. But you know, that's the thing, man. Like I feel like that generation that you came through with, man, with those guys, that was really, I feel like, shaped that generation of professional wrestling, man. Like for what we see now, you know, like because at the time it was like professional wrestling was all these big dudes and stuff like that, and that was like kind of what made the smaller generation popular. Like even back then, like they had smaller guys, right? But like not on the level of being like the main event guy, besides maybe a Shawn Michaels who was still what 6'2".
Right. So yeah, you got like, but they had talented people at the doghouse. So you had you probably met him, Buffa, but he was probably All Money is Legal. Man, All Money is Legal is probably they were the hip hop version of the Rock and Roll Express. If I got to compare it to anybody, because everybody loved them. Anybody, parents, kids, everybody loved them. They were they were like the Rock and Roll Express. Then you had the Christopher Street Connection. Fucking phenomenal. The stuff they could actually wrestle, but their pageantry and their theatrics made them even better. Good workers. Guapo, hell of a worker, hell of a fucking guy on the mic. Then you had he was going by Ray of all day when he left. EC Negro, good worker. Him and his partner, Casey Blade, the Dirty Round Scoundrels, good tag team. The Hit School, Dan Mafia and Monster Mac. Everybody, Mafia's great. Mafia's so believable. But Steve Mack, for a big dude, man, he's impressive. There's some of the stuff he can do.
Oh,
and
dude.
it was just great. And even Leighton was phenomenal. A big man, like to me, the two best big men in wrestling, and I mean, that could probably do it all. Would be because Leighton could do lucha at fucking 6, whatever he was, almost damn near 7 feet, 300 pounds. And then you got Mega, another phenomenal big man. Two of the best big men, and Bounty Hunter. Those three were like two of the best legit big men I've ever seen in wrestling.
So, man. Mega as well, man. Like I've been able to see some of Mega's matches, dude. Like, yeah, I mean, like, yeah, man. He's very. I didn't realize how fucking huge that fucking dude is, man.
Yeah,
like, seeing some of his shit, I'm like, damn, bro, this guy's a big motherfucker.
So I had to do a match with him. We were doing the Psycho Circus, and we were on opposite teams. And something happens that, like, it's a big fucking, like, it's I can't describe it. This match, everything is going on. Tables, ladders, chairs, everything. It's an ultimate gimmick match in the Psycho Circus. And the ring clears. And who has a chair? Mega has a chair. I have a chair. Fuck, man. Because I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, this motherfucker's coming.
Yeah, man. We're waiting for a sec. Boogaloo will be back in a second. Just dealing with it. But make sure you go and check out our sponsor.
I'm sorry about that, bro.
Sleece.com. Go and check him out. Use that promo code MWAPod. But yeah, man, sorry, you were saying Mega's got the chair overhead.
Yeah, that's a 7 foot chair shot. And I'm like, I do not want to take that shit. I don't want to take that shit. So I stayed back a little bit, and then I ran at him. I ran at him like almost like a spear, so that way he couldn't get me. So he would have to get me in the back because I was not gonna take that chair shot to the head because that would have been concussion number 6. I guarantee you.
Oh, bro, that would have been fucking lights out, dude. Because Mega's a big dude, man.
Oh
Wielding
my
that shit,
god,
bro.
yeah.
That's
That was
fucking.
one of my best friends, man. But I didn't want that chair shot.
Hey, man, the best friends are the ones that hit you the hardest, bro.
Oh
Huh?
yeah, well yeah, and brother, and your brother.
Oh, I'm sure, man. That's one thing that, like, Chung said, it was like, bro, like, you know, when he was like training and you were like putting him through his paces, he's like, man, I didn't want to fuck up because I didn't want to get the beating from Louis, man. He goes, I fucked up a couple times, man. Louis had to put a beat down on me, man. He goes, but that's the sort of shit that it was like, hey, man, I ain't your big brother here. I'm here to train you how to get ready for this shit. And that's kind of like, you know what I mean? Like, you can see the level of respect that he has for you, man. That's some cool shit.
Yeah, one of my coworkers.
Hey, man, it is
no,
that
we
time.
No,
Sorry.
we good. No, yeah. So, but my brother, did he tell you the story where he hit me in the face on this podcast?
No, I don't think he did.
So this is his first year of wrestling, and we do this thing. And at the time, he was like a hot baby face, and he had the kendo stick, and I'm in the middle of the match. He comes in the ring with the kendo stick. He's supposed to, and we called the spot. We knew the spot was gonna happen.
Yeah.
He's supposed to hit me square in the head when I turn around. I seen him slide in the ring. So I'm ready to turn around. He thinks I'm not gonna turn around, so he thinks he's gonna take an Aaron Judge baseball swing at the back of my head.
Oh.
So as I turn around, I see the thing coming. It's coming like this, right? Like towards my mouth. So I try to drop down so I could catch it on my forehead, right? No, I caught it right here, right between the eyes. Boom, right? You ever seen a kendo stick break?
Yeah.
This shit broke on my face, right? It breaks on my face. I hit the floor. Now all I see is blood. Blood's just pouring. Like here. I thought my eye fell out my head. That's how hard the hit was, right? And then I was like, fuck, man. But I still have the scar. He split this open. And I'm surprised I didn't break it. I didn't even break my nose. It just split my nose open right here.
Damn,
bro, man, I wanted to kill his ass.
What was the receipt like, brother? Tell me the receipt.
I spared him that day, but there was another time. I had sprained my spine, my lower spine, and they knew I was fucked up. They jumped in the ring, and asshole with a kendo stick again bashes me in the back with the kendo stick. He keeps going off of me on the kendo stick, right?
Yeah.
Just attacking my lower back. So my back was so bad that we used to drive in a van to the shows, and I had to lay down because I couldn't sit down. That's how bad my back was. Shit. So this asshole does that, right? So I was like, all right, cool. So one day he comes back. It was another match. He comes to run in. As he comes to run in, boom! He met my elbow right in his face, split his eye. I was like, this guy is on, man. This fucking guy. I'll get my receipt.
Damn, bro. That's the thing that I love, man, about the whole receipt thing, though, is like for people that don't know that are listening or watching, is like for the most part, when a wrestler is going to be giving a receipt back from someone who's given them a stiff shot or whatever it may be, always they're going to know when it's coming. And that's something that Angel, I remember telling me that he gave a receipt to
Chili Willie,
yeah. And he was smashing the chair. Receipt, bitch.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, but even hearing like other stories as well, man, it's like people giving receipts. It's like the same sort of way, man. You know what I mean? Like it's always like we're gonna tell you what's coming, baby.
Yeah, man. That's fucking Chung, man. Yeah, like a lot. He forgets, and then because I could take it, he'll just fucking tee off on my.
Bro, you ever had to fucking get into fights with fans? Like you ever got?
Oh yeah, yeah, I did. Twice actually. It was in Staten Island. A fan fucking grabbed me from behind the guardrail. Like he grabbed me from behind the guardrail, was trying to pull me back. It was during the ICW invasion of USA Pro. Fan grabs me from behind the guardrail. I just turn around and punch him. Boom, lay him out by the chairs, and his little daughter was there crying. You killed my dad, and I was like, oh shit. That, and then there was another time at an ICW show where a fan grabbed me, but I didn't get to him because Nana happened to be right behind him. And Nana was, for some reason, I guess he wrestled already, so he was just watching my match. And when the fan grabbed me, Nana grabbed him real quick and choked him.
Oh, what the fuck? Dude,
Yeah.
that's nuts, man.
Yeah.
That is nuts, bro. But, guys, it is that time of the show. It is time for 60 seconds with Piers. How this is going to work. I've got a bunch of random fucking questions. I'm going to fire off at Boogaloo. He's got 60 seconds to answer as many of these son of a bitch questions that I've got. Boogaloo, are you ready for me to start firing off these bad boy motherfucking questions?
Yeah, bro.
All right, bro. Let's start the clock. And now, what is your go-to drink on a night out?
Go to drink on a night out. I'm basic, man. I'm gonna drink a beer. I'm gonna have whatever's on tap. I like a Guinness. Good Guinness.
There you go. What TV series do you watch over and over?
Like I told you earlier, I'm a Ted Lasso guy now, so I
There you go.
watch it.
Name a gross meal combination that you love that no one else does.
I'm not gonna. It's not something I love, but it's something I told you I did. But it freaked you out. I used the Vegemite with cheese on toast. You're like, what?
Yeah. I don't know, man. Vegemite and cheese on toast. Yeah, I don't know. All right. What is your favorite song to sing in the car?
Favorite song to sing in the car? Oh, bro, anything with Shakira. Because I do that with my son, and I roll the window down and make him and blast the music and embarrass him.
Dick. If you were to release an album, what genre of music would it be, and what would the name of the album be?
It'd probably be classic rock, and I don't know. Right, this is my life.
If you came with a warning label, what would it say?
Came with a warning label. Can be bad for your health.
Which famous actor would play you in a movie about your life?
Movie about my life, who would play me?
Definitely, I have to have Dwayne Johnson playing me because he's got the wrestling experience.
Aliens, real or fake?
Be honest with you, man, I think they're real, man. I seen some shit because I live near Nassau, so I've seen some shit in the sky. So yeah, let's leave it there.
And last one, in 5 minutes' time, you're being shipped to outer space. What two personal belongings do you take with you, excluding human beings?
Excluding human beings, what two items I take? Well, I gotta take potato chips, man, because I love them. And you said items or food?
Anything. What two personal belongings?
I take some potato chips, and I guess some condoms because I don't want to make a mess in space.
Oh shit! That's been 60 seconds with Boog Washington, aka Boogaloo, aka Big Louie. Bro, this has been an hour and 20-minute conversation. I feel like you and I could probably talk for like 4 or 5 hours, like nonstop, bro. And I'm definitely going to get you back on, bro. I feel like we should do like a group podcast next time, like get all the old crew back together and just do like one big fuck off podcast, which I definitely think we should organize. But dude, where can everyone follow you on social media, man, and see what you're up to these days, bro?
Shit. You can find me on Instagram, Boogaloo, and then I don't even know what my Twitter is. I don't have Facebook no more, so you can't find me there. But
I think it's Dead Prez Lou on Twitter or something.
Yeah,
like
Dead Prez Lou. Yeah, Dead Prez Lou, and Instagram. That's about it. But you ain't gonna see much. You might see some fish or
me at a soccer game.
That's it, man. But you know what? I do end every episode, bro, asking this one question. I'm going to ask you that now, which is, what question did I not ask in this podcast that you wish that I did ask you, and how would you have answered it?
What question? No.
I'm surprised you didn't ask me nothing about that clown Angel and his shenanigans. His locker room shenanigans, but
yeah.
And I would have answered it, him dancing around in a Speedo in the locker room to
What's that? That's you ever heard that song Apache? That goes dun 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 dun. Jump on it, Apache. Yeah, him in the Speedo doing that.
Damn, bro, we gotta have that conversation when we get him on this podcast.
Matter of fact, the first time he ever did that was the first time my brother was ever in the locker room, and that's what my brother saw his first time in the wrestling locker room.
And that's
Apache.
And that was at that moment, Chung realized he belonged in this business.
Right.
Hey, man, you know what? It's been an absolute pleasure having you on, bro. I definitely want to get you back on and do this again, man.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Hey, man, it's been absolutely great, bro. But, you know, this has been Shooting the Shit Uncensored.
You don't do sleeps no more?
Hey, man, we got sleeps as well, baby. We just, you know, we mix it up every once in a while, bro. But make sure you go check out our sponsors, man. I appreciate it. This has been a podcast with Boogaloo, one of my favorite people in the entire world. And I know that I say that about every guest, but this time I actually mean it.
It's true.
I actually mean it this time. I really do. I mean it genuinely. But Boogaloo, man, I love you. Thank you so much for doing the podcast, man. And I'm looking forward to catching up with you even some more, man, next time around. But until next time, man, we'll talk to you soon. Take care. All the best. Peace.